Guys, milk is so important in all of the coffees that we make. There's a couple of sort of basics really. The amount of times that we go into cafe venues and we see them really struggle with milk. The biggest mistakes people make, to be honest, is there's two golden rules that you need to get really smooth, creamy, well-textured milk. You need a clean milk jug and you need fresh, cold milk, okay? Milk is fats, proteins, and sugars. You're putting them under tension on the machine, you're thickening the milk and you're bringing it up to temperature, okay? What you can't really do with milk is reheat it, okay? The idea is that once those fats, proteins, and sugars have been turned together to give us that texture, they don't come back. The milk starts to break down. So using clean milk jugs and fresh cold milk is kind of the golden starting point. And then it's about being, obviously portion control then is massively important as well. If you're doing one single coffee, you don't want to be doing a big jug of milk, half filling it with milk, making one coffee and then having a lot left over. It's wastage, and then when you try and reheat it, it just won't work. Putting it in the fridge to keep it cold, it won't work. So the idea is to get to know your milk jugs, the size of coffees that you're serving, so that your portioning is really accurate. One very important tip when using the milk in the milk jug is you need depth in the jug, okay? So if you're doing one coffee and you put a shallow amount of milk, it won't texture properly. You won't get the rotation and the development of the milk. So it will start squealing, really high pitched, it will overcook, and it won't work. So you need depth in the jug, which is why, generally speaking, to about the bottom of the spout, about a third to a half full is depth. And that's why having the small jugs for doing your single coffees, the 600ml jug for doing your medium and large, and then for doing multiple coffees, you can have a larger jug as well. So I'm going to break it down and show you the technique that's used, and then the way that we pour the coffee. But really important, fresh cold milk, clean milk jug. If it gets crusty, give it a clean, rinse it as often as you can. Any sort of crusty milk will taint the fresh milk you add, and it will make your milk sort of come out bubbly. So really, really important. Okay. Guys, a lot of the time when I'm training people how to texture milk, half of the trouble is getting familiar with how the machine works. You've got people trying to hold a milk jug, you've got a steam arm, you've got turning it on, turning it off. There's kind of a lot going on. You're trying to get it perfect. So quite often it's a good idea before you even start is just hold a jug and just get used to the positioning of the steam wand. So the best way for me is to run the wand down the spout of the jug. It gives you some surety when you're holding the jug. And you want the tip of the steam wand to insert into the center, and then I'll just turn the jug slightly off center. So if I imagine the top of the jug like a clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I want the wand to insert into the milk at about sort of 4 o'clock, and that's going to give me the rotation in a whirlpool action, which will make the milk texture evenly. So the other important thing is to have the jug leaning back so that I can see down into the jug. A lot of people will tip the jug this way. As the milk expands, it swells over the top, burns their hand, they panic, and they sort of mess it all up. So just get used to how it moves with an empty jug. You want that nice position, firm, holding the milk jug. I'm going to hold this in my right hand. My left hand's going to feel the temperature increasing, and then I can turn on and turn off the machine. Okay, so I'll add some milk shortly and we'll show you how to go into it. So I've got my milk jug, I've half filled it with milk. There's two parts that happens when I start to texture my milk, okay? The first part is the tip of the steam wand sits just beneath the surface of the milk, okay? And then I gently break the surface, and that is incorporating air. It's starting to thicken the milk, okay? You'll notice that when I'm doing it, it has this kind of hissing noise, snap, crackle, poppy sort of noise, as I'm gently breaking the surface of the milk, injecting air into the milk. That's thickening the milk, okay? Once I've got to the desired texture that I want, I'm then gently going to submerge the tip of the steam wand under the surface, so there's no more bubbles being created, and then I'm just bringing it up to temperature. Now, if you look at any directives around texturing milk, the perfect texture is about 65 degrees. Now, when the milk is cold, that's when we want to texture the milk first. So if that's 0 degrees and I'm going to 65, then I'm going to do that texturing at the start when the milk is cold and it's strong and it can handle that tension. So I'll do my Then I'll start to submerge the wand, and then I'm bringing it up to temperature. So I'm just going to demonstrate. It's really important that you purge the wand to make sure you expel any water. We don't want any water to go in there. So I'm running the wand down the spout. So I'll start just under the surface. Then I'm going to turn the wand on. So now nothing's happening. So I want to gently lower, and that's giving my snap, crackle, pop. That's giving my texture. I'm gently thickening the milk. It's now just gone warm in my hand. So now I just raise it a fraction. There's no more bubbles, and now I'm just bringing to temperature. The jug is now hot to touch. It's too hot to touch. A couple of seconds and I can turn it off. I can take the jug straight out, wipe my steam wand, purge, and then when I look at my milk, I can see that it's really smooth, really creamy. It's not too thick, it's not too thin. You want that texture like a wet paint, so it's really smooth and shiny. And then I can show you how that we pour.